Forget the coronavirus, it's the flu that you need to be worried about, and we'll tell you why. Also, how college students can save on OU tuition, and if and when we could finally see some springtime weather. This is OU Nightly. Hello and thank you for watching OU Nightly. I'm Logan Morrow.
And I'm Lindsey Gibbs. New numbers out tonight show a serious situation when it comes to the flu.
Deaths from the flu among children are reaching record highs as concern and uncertainty over the coronavirus continues. Daryl Forges has the latest on this flu alert.
As the flu season continues, so does the rise in deaths. Alarming new numbers released by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention estimate there's been at least 29 million flu cases in the U.S., with 280,000 people hospitalized and 16,000 people killed so far this season. Of those deaths, 105 were children, the highest since the flu pandemic in 2009.
This particular year now has been the hardest on kids in quite some time. And obviously, we're still in it. We're still in flu season.
As Americans continue to battle flu season, coronavirus still looms in the minds of many.
On one hand, we're dealing with a new virus, a novel coronavirus. And the reason that's so important is because when you have a new virus, there's still ways that it may behave that you just don't know, you can't predict.
Doctors say unless you are traveling to China or will be near someone who has been there, you're actually at a greater risk for the flu. The best advice is to get a flu shot, wash your hands often, and if you do get sick, stay home until you've been fever-free for 24 hours.
Inside of Harvey Weinstein's trial, the jury is out and it seems they are deadlocked. Jurors indicated they are deadlocked on 2 of the 3 counts of sexual assault, the most serious charges. The result could determine Weinstein's fate of life in prison. After the jurors asked if they could be hung on 1 or both counts, the judge ordered the juries to continue to deliberate for a unanimous verdict on Monday.
Norman is dealing with a budget problem this year, but the city already says it has a plan. Due to a line item falling short in the 2020 budget, the city is over $3 million short. Officials are already taking action to account for this shortfall. They are determined to not lay off a single employee during this difficult time. 31 jobs are currently unfilled in all departments, and the city is going to put a hiring freeze in place.
If we've got a vacant position, we're going to leave it vacant and recognize those salary and benefits savings in the current fiscal year. The positions aren't gone, they're just going to sit with an empty desk until this current budget shortfall is resolved.
Non-emergency services may have a lag in response time, and some recreational programs may be cut.
And the sun is out, but it's still chilly out there.
That's right, Lindsay. I'm just ready for some weather where I don't have to wear a jacket to class.
Right. Jenna Warner is in the studio with our first look at the weather. Jenna, can we look forward to some warmer days?
Well, I'll have all that in a warming trend in a little bit, but as for right now, we're looking at current temps. We're within the upper 40s to low 50s across the state. So as you guys were saying, we're below average for this time of year. But there is some hope. So we have high pressure building in the area. This will make way for a nice southerly breeze to start coming up, and we'll be tracking that warming trend as well as your next rainmaker for you guys. And for those of you heading out to Elldale Mitchell later, we have an OU baseball forecast coming up. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you so much, Jenna. Most OU students know at least a little something about the university's money-saving flat-rate tuition policy, but there is more to it. OU Nightly's Marissa Nuzzo is live on campus to tell us more. Marissa?
Thanks, Logan. It turns out that many students are not taking advantage of their flat-rate tuition, and that's why I'm standing outside Buchanan Hall right now. So it seems like many students are missing an opportunity to save on thousands of dollars. The University of Oklahoma uses flat-rate tuition as a recruiting method for new students, but many don't really know how it can save them money.
I did not know that. That's pretty cool, though.
Flat-rate tuition means that each full-time student pays for 15 credit hours each semester, no matter how many they are actually enrolled in. With many degree programs, it's not necessary to enroll in a heavy course load every semester in order to graduate on time. So, how can students keep from overpaying? Appeal your flat-rate tuition.
Yes, I actually have before.
And did it save you any money? Yes, almost 1,000 per semester.
If you are in good academic standing and you're on track with your degree, all you need to do is contact your advisor for a quick recommendation. Then go to ou.edu/bursar, navigate to flat rate tuition, and scroll down to the appeal form. Fill out your personal information, upload your recommendation form from your advisor, and hit submit. If you already paid your tuition for this semester, you can still appeal through June 7th, and if your appeal is approved, you will be reimbursed. Marissa Nuzzo, OU Nightly.
All right. Thank you so much, Marissa. Coming up next, find out how students are trying to save a man's life.
The event happening this weekend may unite hundreds of Big 12 students.
Plus, a new agreement between the Taliban and the U.S.
Find out what is bringing a little bit of peace to the Middle East. OU students are advocating for a former student's innocent who has been on death row for 20 years. Julius Jones had just completed his freshman year at OU when he was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to death in 2002. The Big 12 Conference on Black Student Government hosted an event sharing Jones's story and encouraged attendees to write letters to Jones and sign a petition to Governor Stitt.
Julius Jones, since he was a former OU student in PLC and engineering major, I thought a lot of students could relate to that. A lot of times we see these things in the media and it seems so far off, but no, this was right here. And then, like I said, with all the inconsistencies in the case and the blatant racial bias, there was just no way that we couldn't speak on it.
Jones's case will be presented at the Big 12 Conference to over 700 students this weekend in Norman.
A new assessment shows that Russia is attempting to interfere with the 2020 election. Skylar has that and the rest of today's headlines. Skylar?
Yeah, that's right, Lindsey. Yesterday, we found out U.S. lawmakers were told that Russia is actively interfering in the 2020 election on behalf of President Trump. And now, in just the last hour, the Washington Post reports that Bernie Sanders has been briefed by U.S. officials. They are telling him that there are Russian efforts working to help his campaign.
The Russians are absolutely intent on trying to interfere with our election.
The president today minimized these warnings from U.S. intelligence experts. On Twitter, Trump claimed it is the Democrats who are pushing a misinformation campaign. In Afghanistan, a 7-day reduction of violence is set to begin later tonight. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo tweeted earlier this morning saying, after decades of conflict, we have come to an understanding with the Taliban on a significant reduction in violence across Afghanistan. This is an important step on a long road to peace, and I call on all Afghans to seize this opportunity. The U.S. is preparing to sign a U.S. Taliban agreement on February 29th as long as the reduction of violence is successful. Wells Fargo is being fined $3 billion by federal authorities for creating millions of fake accounts. This deal does not remove the threat of prosecution to current and former employees. Wells Fargo admits that between 2002 and 2016, it falsified bank records, harmed credit ratings of customers, unlawfully misused their personal information, and wrongfully collected millions of dollars in fees and interest. And South Korea has seen a drastic surge of new novel coronavirus cases in the last 3 days. Doctors in the U.S. continue to say risk for people here is relatively low. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Skylar. The Pink and Black Ball is coming up. Find out how you can get involved even if you can't attend.
And Jenna, what's on the radar for today's weather?
Rain on the way. Find out when and stay tuned. Welcome back to OU Nightly. Here's a live look outside the Norman Cam. Pretty clear skies right now. Currently it's 46 degrees and we do have that southerly wind hitting us about 11 miles per hour, so a little gusty out there. If you have Friday evening plans, the temperature will start to drop as the sun sets around 6:30 tonight. Winds will start to drop as well, so we'll be going from south 10 to 15 miles per hour, which is a little bit blustery, to south 5 to 10 miles per hour, so just calming down a little bit tonight. We're going to be just below average for our state lows tonight as well. 30 in Norman, 30 in Oklahoma City as well, so pretty much within the low 30s to upper 20s across the state. Taking a look at your highs, tomorrow will be 58 in Norman, 61 in Lawton. So Lawton and Woodward will be the only ones to break 60 by tomorrow. So we do have a rainmaker coming in. This is looking at Sunday. So Sunday, you'll definitely want to grab an umbrella on your way out the door. We have rain coming through due to a low pressure system. This is looking at percentages that you'll be seeing precipitation across the state. So 80% in northern Oklahoma. Having technical difficulties, so I'm going to send it back to you guys at the desk.
All right, thanks. The Gender and Equality Center's Pink and Black Ball is a week from today. And aside from being a fun time for students, this event is a great opportunity to raise money.
For sure. The ball started years ago as a fundraiser for breast cancer awareness. And last year, around 400 people attended, raising over $13,000.
If you can't make it to the ball, you can still give back by purchasing a ticket on the GEC's website to be donated to another student.
You know, Lindsay, I have always wanted to go to it, but I feel like my schedule's never really let me, so I think I'm going to try to go next week.
Yeah, no, I've been before. It's a lot of fun.
Of course.
Well, that's all the news we have for you today, but Big Friday Sports is next.
Hey, Lindsey, Logan, thanks so much. Plenty ahead when we return. You mentioned baseball's 4-game series with Illinois State, plus Bedlam basketball also on the slate this weekend. Stay with us. What's up, everybody? It's time for your weekly adrenaline shot of sports. Parker Thune alongside Sam Brown on Big Friday Sports, here to give you the lowdown on everything Oklahoma sports. And today we start with the flippin' Sooner gymnasts.
The top-ranked ladies team is taking a short trip up I-35 to Bricktown for the annual Perfect 10 Challenge. The Sooners will compete against the number 25 Stanford Cardinal and look to defend their Perfect 10 title after a quad meet win last season. Shouldn't be too much of a struggle when you've got someone like Maggie Nichols, though.
No kidding, Sam. How about this? The senior ranks in the top 3 in the country on vault, uneven bars, and floor.
Now, former OU Olympic gymnast Bart Connor and his wife Nadia are hosting their annual Bart and Nadia Sports Experience this weekend. The 3-day event hosts around 2,500 gymnastics competitors and multiple meets, but Connor says the experience does much more than just that.
The Bart and Nadia Sports Experience is a sports carnival where we introduce kids to all kinds of sports, and our whole goal is to try to remind families that health and wellness and fitness should be part of their mindset.
Now, the experience runs today through Sunday at the Cox Convention Center. And the men's gym team has the week off, but not all the athletes are riding the couch this weekend. Some of the best gymnasts in the country are in Sin City right now, competing in day 2 of the 2020 Winter Cup. 4 current Sooners made the trip out to Las Vegas, along with several former Sooners. Gage Dyer finished with the best score of all current OU gymnasts, while alums Yul Moldauer and Alan Bauer locked up their spots on the U.S. senior national team, Sam.
There you go, good for them. Let's switch it from the mat to the hardwood, where Lon Kruger and the Sooners are in for a little old matchup in Bedlam, or a little Bedlam matchup in Stillwater, excuse me. Meridith Mulkey has more on their recent struggles and what a win Saturday would do with March Madness right around the corner.
It's been a rough couple of games for the Sooners, but that could all change as they head to enemy territory tomorrow for a Bedlam matchup. The last time these two teams met, OU dominated OSU, and they're looking to do the same once again to redeem themselves from back-to-back losses. The latest loss came at the hands of none other than number 1 ranked Baylor. The Sooners came out strong with a 10-5 lead, but it seemed to go mostly downhill from there as the Bears' defense was able to keep them contained. Baylor ran away in the final 10 minutes, handing OU a 65-54 loss, which is only the second at home. Christian Doolittle was the key once again for this team, scoring 18 points and grabbing 10 rebounds. And as a leader for the Sooners, the senior forward knows the importance of taking it one game at a time and moving on from tough losses.
We're still not out of it. We're 6-7, but the league is going so crazy that every game is important. You can't overlook any game, especially Saturday's game.
We can bounce back from these last 2. We had played 2 of the better teams in the country back to back, and I don't think anybody's down with that. I just think we're down because we knew we could have competed harder and played better, but just came down to making shots. So I think we can bounce back for sure.
This has been an up and down season for OU, but experts still have them as one of the final groups making a trip to the big dance. Although the losses to number 1 Baylor and number 3 Kansas didn't help the resume, OU's remaining schedule looks to be in the Sooners' favor. If the guys can play their best ball down the stretch, it's likely they'll be able to lock down their spot on the bracket. Coming up, Coach Kruger and the boys will host Texas Tech and Texas, who have both struggled on the road. The Raiders are 3-5, and the Longhorns are no better at 2-5. So these Texas showdowns in Norman should be promising for the Sooners, who not surprisingly performed their best at home. Then there's number 17 West Virginia. This will be an important test for OU as they go into Morgantown. The Sooners haven't had much luck on the road, sitting at 2-7, but they did get the 10-point win over the Mountaineers earlier this month. Then all that's left is TCU in the last game of the season and the potential for OU to end on a high note. The Sooners recorded a 20-point victory in their last meeting with the Horned Frogs, and they need similar results this time in Fort Worth. OU is sitting on the bubble of tournament play and needs substantial wins these last 5 games as they close out the season. It all begins tomorrow at 3 in Cowboy Country. Meridith, Mulkey, Big Friday Sports.
Thanks, Meredith. Over to the Diamond we go. The Sooner baseball team is looking to keep their 4-game win streak alive today at L. Dale Mitchell Park. Skip Johnson and the boys destroyed Texas Southern earlier this week, winning both games by a combined score of 26-2. Now, due to inclement weather, Sunday's game was rescheduled as the nightcap of a doubleheader today. Now, the first game is currently underway between OU and the Cardinals. Well, we're halfway home, but after the break, we'll preview a big one tonight in OKC.
Well, let's check out what's on the docket first for the weekend. Men's tennis taking on Incarnate Word actually in just a few minutes in the Headington Family Tennis Center. Let's take it over to A&M. College Station, the women's tennis team will be traveling tomorrow afternoon to take on the Aggies. Meanwhile, women's golf, easily the best draw of the weekend. They get to go to sunny Arizona as they compete in the Westbrook Invitational.
I love that. You'd love to be in Arizona right now rather
than
deal
a lot
with
better
this
weather
up
than
and down
here in
Oklahoma weather.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, as I mentioned, when we come back, Thunder and Nuggets tonight at the Peak. We got the preview.
Plus, we're just a day away from the Wilder and Fury rematch. We'll break down the much-anticipated matchup coming up next.
Welcome back to OU Nightly. Taking a look at your forecast. If you're heading to any of the baseball games tonight, we have round 2 coming up later tonight. That'll be around 46 degrees when the first pitch is hit. And then we have 2 games coming up tomorrow, both high of 58 and be partly cloudy skies. Take a look at the 7-day forecast just because you guys didn't get to see it during the show. We'll be sitting at 44 on Tuesday as we have another low coming in then, and then we'll clear out in time for the week. Back to you guys, but first, a piece of sports history.
And thanks, Jenna. We do believe in miracles. This weekend is the 40th anniversary of the Miracle on Ice. The kids from the U.S. pulling off the unthinkable upset against the mighty Russians, who were essentially rolling out a professional team at the time.
Yeah, Sam, it really is an iconic moment in American history. It's one of those things that really transcends sports.
Exactly. It's kind of like the moon landing. You remember where you were, what you were doing when it happened. Parker, what were you doing when it happened?
Yeah, that's a great question. I wasn't around, that's for sure. But the interesting thing is, Sam, almost no one saw this game live. It was played at 5 o'clock Eastern time. But back then, TV networks didn't like to broadcast big events that weren't happening in prime time. So ABC Sports tape delayed the game until 8.
Imagine them doing that in today's world with social media. Everybody's on their phones. There's no way they could have pulled that off. Everyone would have known the score before it even started.
Another thing that a lot of younger viewers like ourselves don't know, that game actually didn't win the gold for the United States. Ooh. They beat the Soviets on Friday night, but they actually had to go and knock off Finland in the gold medal game on Sunday.
Which they did. Took home the gold, though.
There you go.
Not everyone is thrilled about it, but NFL owners have approved the new collective bargaining agreement.
Yeah, Sam, the NFLPA Executive Committee actually voted 6-5 against recommending the CBA proposal. Of course, there's been plenty of discussion in recent days about the effects that this new agreement could have, including a shortened preseason, an extra game in the regular season, and an expanded playoff format. Now, the NFLPA's full player body will vote next week. And Sam, it's crazy to think that a year and a half ago, this guy, Trae Young, there were actually people out there saying he wasn't ready for the NBA.
Look at them now, probably eating their words, and he's showing them all up. First of all, the 3 and the foul, heating up early, heating up late, hot all day long. Shakes Iguodala, hits the 3, and in the fourth quarter with the Hawks trailing, Trae Young just keeps turning it on, gets the floater, and then driving across, he's going to hit that three from the logo, point at the spot, half 100 from Ice Trey, 50 points. There's the and one, and the Hawks come back in the fourth quarter to take it.
I'm sure Trae Young is one of the primary advocates of a 4-point line in the NBA. That's for
yeah,
sure.
Yeah, no kidding.
If it's Russell Westbrook who draws the tee, that'll be his second. He'll be ejected.
Young sure was hot last night, and speaking of getting hot, Russell Westbrook was a little miffed. This little diatribe got him ejected from the Rockets' tilt with Golden State.
Yeah, hot like gunna. Although Russ had to make an early exit, Houston didn't have a problem. They rolled to a 30-point thrashing of the once invincible Golden State Warriors. How the mighty have fallen. Meanwhile, Russ's old team here in OKC is tipping off tonight for the first time since the All-Star break. CP3 and the Thunder are at the peak tonight for a matchup against the Denver Nuggets.
That's right, Sam. Oklahoma City is way ahead of expectations right now, but they still have their work cut out for them with the Dallas Mavericks and Memphis Grizzlies right on their tail in the Western Conference standings. Moving along, Sam, it's safe to say that the Win Now mission in Brooklyn is on hold until next season. Kevin Durant obviously has yet to play as he rehabs from that torn Achilles, and now they've lost Kyrie Irving as well.
Yeah, not exactly how they drew it up. Kyrie is set for surgery on his injured shoulder, meaning he'll be out for the year. The Nets are still in line for a playoff spot in a weak Eastern Conference, but this should pretty much eliminate them competing for a title this year. All right, Parker, big fight of the weekend, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury.
I tell you what, Sam, this will be a big one. It's the rematch between the two greatest heavyweights of this generation. You're talking about a 6'9" British behemoth in Fury against the bronze bomber, the Hammer from Alabama, and Deontay Wilder. Both of these fighters coming in undefeated.
Yeah, the only blemish on their record, the draw that came in their first face-off, and I'm going with Deontay Wilder, the Hammer from Alabama, to take it off.
I like Fury. He's the heaviest of hitters, and I think he scores a knockout in this one. You want to try some sparring after this, or are you intimidated by my reach advantage?
Well, you know, Parker, I think I'm just meaner than you, and I think I just take that one. But that's going to do it here for Big Friday Sports. We'll fight after, once we're off the air. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week.